morning, everybody. 'Tis the season.
Look at this place.
This place is incredible. Right? Can you guys feel the energy in here today?
Spirit in here.
You know, it's just, we're like 24 hours away from the creepy, overweight, stranger, bearded man coming down your chimney, and your kids loving him.
Not only a tree, but we got a menorah over here too. Love it.
That is absolutely fantastic. Hope everyone has had a beautiful Hanukkah and Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate. We love you. We love the fact that you're here with us on the Sweat Saturday morning edition of the Sweat. I'm Emerson Lancia, Josh Applebaum, Steve Buchanan, Julian Edlow. We got a lot coming up here in the next 2 hours, folks. We are going to break down not one, but 2 NFL games on tap today. Can Buffalo keep it going? Man, they are fighting for their postseason lives.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Some people on this desk.
Double-digit favorites 2 weeks in a row, Steve.
Oh,
we got a system on the Chargers today, big man.
Oh, I love it. Hey, we'll get Mike Gola Jr.'s take on the bowl games going down today. Plus, Ja is back. Jules will help us out with some best bets around the association. But first, we will start this show the same way we start this show every week when we start this show at 8 o'clock Eastern time. And that is by working up a sweat. So, Josh, you start us off here, dude. What are you warming up to right now on this Saturday morning?
So I can't wait to wake up Christmas morning and open the presents. But you know what else, Emerson? I can't wait to watch the best game of the week.
What's that going to be?
We're talking Ravens, 49ers, most heavily bet game. Could be a preview of the Super Bowl. These are the 2 teams with the 2 best odds to win the Super Bowl. Niners plus 220, Ravens plus 550. 2 of your top MVP candidates. Purdy is now minus 225, big favorite to win the MVP. Lamar Jackson second up here at plus 450. But I'm looking at the game line here, Emerson, and I'm not going to call the Ravens a sharp bet, but I'm going to call them a value play based on a couple really good system matches. So number 1, I've been waiting for the Ravens to get to 6 all week. We're hovering around 5, 5.5. We just got to 6. So there has been a little respect here. Obviously, toward the Niners, they're playing great. The line has reached the key number. But I think if you're waiting for the Ravens, now is your time to take that plus 6. And what I like about this one, Emerson, the system play with Lamar Jackson and Harbaugh as dogs. Lamar Jackson is 11-1 against the spread as a dog in his career. Harbaugh is 45-30 ATS as a dog in his career. Primetime dogs are 57% against the spread since 2020. And what I like about this play to the Ravens as well is I think there's a chip on their shoulder, a motivational edge here, because obviously the players know that they're a dog. I don't know if they know they're exactly a 6-point dog, but Emerson, a lot of these players are saying that they feel disrespected by this number. Lamar Jackson said, I don't want them to pick us. I like being the underdog. I believe we play better when we're doubted and when people are not choosing us to win the game. So give me a motivational edge. You give me a key number here. You give me Jackson 11-1 ATS as a dog. I'm going Ravens plus 6.
Yeah, Ravens 4-2 ATS on the road this season here. Bukes, what a great way to end the Christmas Day triple header as well.
It is, I think, the best game of the week here, and this is the game I'm looking forward to. But I think I'm with Josh. I think that the Ravens are a good play in this one here. Like, we talk about how great this 49ers offense has been, and rightfully so. You cannot take away anything about how good they've been offensively. The Ravens have been such a good defensive team, and I think people kind of overlook that a lot. Like, there is no easy matchup for anybody on the 49ers, even Christian McCaffrey. That run defense has been solid. Not to say that Christian McCaffrey hasn't beaten everything in front of him, but this isn't a layup like a layup game where he gets 140, 150 yards like he has been over the past month or so. So I think it's an interesting way to look at this game, but if I was backing somebody in this spot, I think it's the Ravens.
Jules, until someone stops them, though, it's hard not to like the Niners every week.
I'll go the other way here. I agree with the money coming in on the Niners. Baltimore, very good team. You're going to see all week, or we've seen all week, the Lamar Jackson against the spread is an underdog numbers. He's very, very good. This is by far the best team in the NFL, speaking about the Niners. They're at home, and I think when the Niners want to flex, they are going to flex. We saw it against Philly. We saw it against Dallas. Not close games, like beatdowns. Now, I think Baltimore is better than both of those teams, but if San Francisco wants, they're here in the Super Bowl rumblings, this is a Super Bowl preview. When they want to beat up on somebody, they can beat up on somebody when they have everybody healthy, and they have everybody healthy at home here. When the Niners are fully healthy, I will not go against them in any spot. Really. So this is Niners or pass for me.
Yeah.
I have them in a parlay this week just using the money line, but I would lay the points with them if you're betting this game individually.
I mean, you nailed it with health. They are 10-0 with 9 double-digit wins when Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel are healthy. That is absolutely insane. What are you warming up to this morning, Bukes?
So
Oh,
It's not a bet you can make.
okay.
Well, they're not.
I like
We're here
that.
to make money.
start.
No.
I'm
already out
No,
on
that's
this.
okay. I'm not. I'm in on it
Hey,
because I
hey.
can't lose money.
You just had a really bad college basketball night. You need to calm down.
I did, and I need to
Sure.
get some money
You-
back
To quote you, I lost $1 million. But
So-
not
on
really.
UCLA. We'll get it back today.
What I'm about to do is maybe you I need to think about doing because it's very therapeutic.
Okay.
I'm here to inform everybody we're about to lose a bet that we made earlier in the year. The Bills are making the playoffs.
No.
Oh, Steve's going back.
The Bills
dude.
are making the playoffs. I'm
Whoa.
sorry. I was very passionate about that. At the time, I was very confident about that. And I think it was the right move at the time. Before that game against the Cincinnati Bengals, they were plus 175 to not make the playoffs.
Yes.
And we
Yeah.
said that's the play right now. I did not expect them to beat the Chiefs like they did.
I know.
I did not expect them to be in this position where now they're facing a Chargers team when who the hell is taking the field for that team? They have no Keenan Allen. They have no Justin Herbert. Austin Eckler is dust. Guyton, I think, is a wide receiver 1. Palmer, Quentin Johnson, that's the team that they're running out here. And then to top it all off, the schedule is just in their favor
Yeah.
the rest of the year.
Yep.
It's just in their favor.
2 games
because
as double-digit favorites, and then they get the head-to-head against Miami.
I
I was
was
gonna
gonna say-
jump in and say, what do you think about Buffalo plus 200 to win the division?
Bingo.
You can't do that because if
I
they make
know
the
I
playoffs
can't.
but don't win the division,
I know
then
I
you go
can't.
0-2 and look like an idiot.
So-
Because
I'm
they
not gonna
wrap up
double
week
down.
18 against them, don't they? The Bills and,
Week
and
18
Dolphins.
is that the 18 or 17 game? I don't know. I know they
Last
got
game is
Dolphins down.
at Miami. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to be a man here and say I was wrong. I was wrong about the Bills. If they got through that stretch, would look impossible at that time when we were talking about it.
And they almost beat Philly, too,
Right.
in that stretch.
But they're making the playoffs. They're
Dolphins
minus,
go pick 'em Dallas, underdogs at Baltimore,
Yep.
and then have the Buffalo game.
Yeah. So I am sorry. I let you down. This is supposed to be the season of giving, but I took
dude.
away this season. So I
Steve's the Grinch.
apologize. Yep.
You really are the Grinch.
Yep.
You're a more handsome, less green version
Chargers
of the
this
Grinch.
week. Patriots the week out of, just disaster. Absolute disaster.
Would you consider betting Buffalo to win the division right now?
I think the value's there, plus 200.
It
for
is.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's the play here. I mean, Miami too, like Tyreek Hill. Is he going to be healthy or not? We saw what a difference it makes when he's on or off
trending
the field,
to
so
playing.
hopefully he'll play against
this weekend.
Dallas,
All right, Jules, your warm-up bet. What you got?
Yes. So we're going to talk plenty today and tomorrow about things that are going to make us money, hopefully, this weekend. I'm looking ahead in the NFL and doing something now because I think this is going to move. We get a great Saturday night primetime game next week when Detroit goes to Dallas. That total is opened up on DraftKings Sportsbook, 51.5. Over, and I'm betting it now. Indoors, in Dallas, we know what the Cowboys do at home. Cowboys are scoring 39.9 points per game at home. They've been dominant at home, and there's not really a game where they've let down from a scoring perspective. Detroit, they average 27 points per game. Now, over 30 at home, but just 24 on the road. A lot of that is that Goff and that Lions offense doesn't play as well outdoors. Going to be inside here at Jerry World, so I think we'll see similar numbers to their home production there. Lions defense has been trash lately, so I trust Dallas to do their part. Detroit going to have to play keep up there in an environment that they're comfortable in. I think that total is going to shoot up and get yourself a good number on it. I don't think it will matter. I think this game soars over, but I'm getting it out of the way. I'm doing it now. I think that we're talking about it today because when we talk about it next Saturday on the show, we're going to be talking about 53.5 or something like that. So doing it now.
Has Jules sold you on that?
I got something to worry you a little bit.
Oh,
Jules.
there
I got
he
something
is.
here for
Well, there's
ya.
definitely no wind or rain in Jerry World.
That's true. No weather issues, but when you look at these super high totals, when the total's 50 or more, the under is 14-4 this year.
Oh,
I think when
damn.
expected to
Oh,
fly over,
damn.
typically there's a buy low spot to go under. We shall see. It is juiced up to your point, 51.5 over, minus 115. But again, feels like it'll go over, but that worries me. The under is 14-4 when it's 50 or more.
Listen, I know we give the guy crap for his systems, but 14-4, that is very, very heavy.
No, but sure. But then also,
Have to go 5-14.
Bingo.
but I mean, to be fair,
Math.
like we've been, how much has Josh been talking about, like the primetime unders, and then how much it's been regressing over the past, what we say, month and a half. or so.
Less than a few weeks, but yeah, it's regressed.
So, I mean, I'm with Julian. I mean, I would be on the side that Julian's on for this one here. I do think that that's going to be a game that we're going to see a lot of offense in, but I mean, it's been moving at what, 2-3 points now over the course of the week or so. So
Around 50-51, yeah.
So I would be siding with Julian at least on this one.
All right, gentlemen. Well, my warm-up bet, when I'm considering betting, Jags plus 1.5
You got to
tomorrow
stop doing this.
in Tampa Bay. Looks like Trevor Lawrence trending in the direction of playing. Had a practice yesterday. Hopefully he gets out of concussion protocol. They take the short little flight down to Tampa, down to Southwest Florida. A get-right game. The Jags, 3 losses in a row. Baker Mayfield and the Bucs, 3 wins in a row, but 2 of those games he has under 50% completion percentage. Jags
Talking
defense,
like this isn't going to make the
Jags
win.
defense steps up. Trevor's healthy. Trevor continues his streak of what will be 49 straight games played. Okay, that music means
Turn
we're
the
going to
music
Jags.
on.
Let's talk
Terrible
about
team.
baseball next, baby. Which offseason acquisitions will bring good tidings to their new teams? Plus some college basketball best bets sprinkled in. Back here on The Sweat, everybody. Steve Buchanan, Emerson Latzia. Time to discuss which Major League Baseball players will bring good tidings to their new teams here. Or
The Dodgers.
we'll talk about one guy. Yes. So the Dodgers.
Dodgers.
The Dodgers, another star going to Hollywood. So
Yeah.
Yamamoto here signing a, what is it, 12-year, $325 million deal. It's absolutely insane. It's the largest contract for a pitcher in baseball history here. Is this dude worth the risk? Will he bring good tidings to LA for the next decade plus?
I mean, look, it's impossible to say. We haven't seen this guy throw a single pitch in the Major League Baseball. Some guys just don't translate well. Like, if you remember years ago, Daisuke Matsuzaka, when he came here to the Boston Red Sox, was a huge, big-time guy. They spent all this money to bring him over, and he just never really panned out. That being said, you are getting somebody who is, it looks like, in the prime of his career. If you look at his numbers in Japan, like, we're talking about prime ace Pedro Martinez-like numbers, like ERA just above 1.5 or so. And this was a move that the Dodgers needed to make. If you wanted to point out what their weakness was last year, it was their rotation. They had a 4.57 ERA last year. That was just outside the top 10 for the highest in the league at this point. They had an 8.1 K9. That was one of the lowest in the league. So they weren't striking guys out, putting a lot of men on base. That's why they bring someone in like Yamamoto, because they had the money because of all the finagling they did with Shohei Ohtani's contract.
For sure. Like, the one thing the Dodgers really needed, and everyone knew it this offseason, was pitching. So they landed this stud, but then they also go out and grab Glasnow from Tampa Bay here. So the biggest question with him is going to be health, Steve.
Of course.
So what are the chances here the dude can remain healthy and he actually brings good tidings to LA in this starting rotation?
I mean, look, he's someone who's been in the league since 2016. He's only gone over 100 innings in 2 of those years. But here's the thing about Glasnow. He does not have to be the number 1 or the number 2 guy in this rotation, because right now, as it stands, you're going to have, obviously, Yamamoto at the top. Then you're going to have Walker Buehler, who's going to be coming back this year. He's your number 2. Glasnow is going to be your number 3 at this point. The thing with Glasnow is, though, and I keep hitting these ornaments, the thing with Glasnow is that when he's healthy, his numbers have been stellar across the board. Even when he's pitching in the limited amount that we've seen, he's had a K9 of at least 12 in 4 straight seasons now. He doesn't induce a lot of fly balls here. And again, he's not going to have a lot of that brunt of being at the top of the rotation on his shoulders, because he's not going to be the number 1 or the number 2 guy. I love this move, getting into a roomy park like LA in a roomy division with all those huge stadiums that they have out there in the NL West. I think this is going to do wonders for him, because if he stays healthy, you have a legit ace in the number 3 spot of your rotation.
All right, what about Aaron Nola in Philly? So it was last month in November, signs like a 7-year, $175 million deal. Rumors he was going to go elsewhere. Decides to stay there, says, hey, I'm very comfortable here. This is where I want to be. This is where my family wants to be. Comfortable enough to bring good tidings to the city of brotherly love for the next 7 years.
Not crazy about this deal.
Really?
And I knew that this was going to be someone that was going to get a huge deal just because of the lack of depth of pitching in the free agent market. So obviously he goes back to where he's comfortable here, 7-year deal, but that's going to take him to the age of 37. In about 5 years from now, 5 to 6 years, we're going to start seeing some god-awful baseball, because all of these guys are on these long-term contracts. They're going to be like in their mid to late 30s here. The other thing that worries me about Aaron Nola, he was so poor on the road last season. 20 home runs allowed, 5.43 ERA, 327 WOBA on the road last year. That was a big problem. Was it a 1-year sample? We shall see. But if he continues to pitch like that on the road, he's not going to come close to being worth that contract.
All right, we'll wrap it up with this. Juan Soto. More likely to bring good tidings to San Diego because of the salary relief, or more likely to bring good tidings to his new home in the Bronx?
He's going to be a great Yankee for the year that he's there. But the entire team still remains a mess. Last year, that team slashed 227, 304 on-base percentage, 397 slugging percentage. All those were near the bottom of the league. Soto is going to help bring those numbers up. But what about the rest of the team? There's so many aging guys on that team that they have so much to do. They were 9th in home runs last year, but they were 29th in doubles. That team is aging. They're losing power. They will make up some of those numbers with Soto, but the rotation's still a mess. The lineup is still a mess. You add Soto, it's like that meme where you have the Mercedes or whatever parked under that trailer park. That's kind of like what it feels like with Soto in this lineup right now.
Is that a Mercedes?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I thought it was something much more expensive than that. Yeah, maybe
that's
Maserati.
What it is.
Okay, now for hopefully to bring you some good tidings to your college basketball betting card, Josh and Jules, the Killer Jays, baby.
All right, Josh, we got a Saturday slate of college hoops here. Football slowing down, although we have some bowl games to get into. limited card here in college hoops, but we have a few good ones. Let's start with probably the best one on tap, and that is Arizona FAU. This one being played in Phoenix, so neutral floor, but essentially a home court, or home crowd at least, for Arizona. What do we got? Is Arizona at 6.5 or 7 right now?
Just went to 7.
Just went to 7. You got a feel for this one?
So my feel for this one would be just your top contrarian play of the day to take FAU. And remember, FAU, small, tiny little school, don't expect much of them, but they made a long run in the NCAA tournament last year, really opened a ton of eyes. So this is a team that in a program that's kind of on the rise. We all know Arizona, ranked team, super popular. But what I like about going contrarian here is a bit of a line freeze. This is also the most heavily bet lopsided game of the day. Julian, currently 85% of bets are going with Arizona. Again, if you're going to pick out an obvious play, it would be Arizona, top-ranked team. Laying 6.5, now 7 points. Now it opened 6.5. It's around 7. It hasn't moved too much. But when I'm looking at going contrarian and betting against the public, it's these games. The most heavily bet game of the day, the most lopsided game of the day. Just from the standpoint of FAU in a really undervalued spot, only getting 15% of bets. I think there's some value there. And really, if I'm going to bet a dog, Julian, I want a dog that can score. They're averaging 84 points a game. If you're worried about maybe a blowout win or Arizona covering this number, what do you think about the over in this one, Julian? We did see it rise 159 to 163.5. Kind of is tough to play the 163.5. You missed a lot of the value, but Arizona averages 92 a game. The splits are 50-50, yet it's really getting steamed over. Maybe you lean over, but I would hold my nose and go FAU in the points. Yeah,
definitely not playing the under in this one. You're either taking the number where it's at or passing on it. But yeah, Arizona plays with pace. FAU, I know Arizona's going to score, put it that way. So FAU's going to have to keep up. They're going to have to score, play with pace as well. So I think the over would be a look. This is Arizona or a pass for me. I'll ride with the public on this one. Arizona coming off the loss to Purdue, where we both liked them. Bad half versus Alabama at home, and then they come out, cover that game easily. They won by double digits when they were trailing by, I think, 7 at halftime. I think that this team needs to play with a little bit of a purpose after the Purdue game, prove that they're a top seed come tournament time, and FAU didn't see somebody like Arizona during that tournament run as good as they were. So I think this is a really tough spot for FAU. All that snowballed together, an over. Maybe you go Arizona team total over. If I think they're going to score a lot, that's a look that I might go. All right, a couple more games here. Let's go down to Mississippi State. Has been very good. They got a little ranked number next to their name now. Again, this is a not home court or in their home arena for Rutgers, but it's in the Prudential Center in New Jersey, so it's going to be a home crowd for Rutgers. You going to take the points with the small home dog here? I
am, yeah. I like this spot toward Rutgers. Good point by you. This isn't the RAC, which they're great at, but it is in their home state of New Jersey. If this was the
RAC, I've already bet Rutgers.
Yeah,
but
seriously.
I haven't yet.
They're so good at home. Either way, though, Julian, I'll take the points here. What I like about this one is just the classic reverse line move. Public's on Mississippi State, as you mentioned. Good record here, but they actually opened Mississippi State -3.5, -3. When you're getting into the studio this morning, it was 3, but I'm seeing it now fall to 2.5. So the line's moving toward Rutgers, even though 65% of bets are going Mississippi State. Rutgers is that contrarian home dog. Also, you look at Rutgers defensively. They're only giving up 61 points a game. I think that could be an angle here to keep it lower scoring, cover the number. And even though, again, not technically a neutral site, but Rutgers 6-1 at home, Mississippi State 0-1 on the road, 4-6 on the road last year as well. And then we did see the line move to the over, which is interesting, Julian, because, again, Rutgers is kind of a slow team, a lot of defense. But it opened 130. It's up to 132. 77% of bets, almost 90% of money is going over. But when I saw this fall 3 to 2.5, that really sold me on Rutgers. I'll take the points with Rutgers.
I'm with you. If I'm betting that one, it is Rutgers. Let me take you to a game I have bet. Xavier hosts Seton Hall. I laid 3.5 with Xavier. I'm seeing 4 now. The splits on DK Sportsbook disagree with me a little bit. Seton Hall is 47% of the bets for 68% of the handle. But this is a classic spot. Seton Hall just upsets UConn at home. Now you got to go on the road. Xavier's been really good at home. It's a tough place to play. I think this is a classic letdown spot quickly for Seton Hall where you back Xavier at home.
So to your point, Julian, the line did move to Xavier, -3.5 up to -4. Got to respect that move. But you mentioned the bet splits. That's kind of what is getting me hung up here on this one. It's only 49% bets Seton Hall, so basically public's 50-50. But 74% of the money at DraftKings is on Seton Hall here. So, again, it's a tough one. I would lean conference dog and take the points with Seton Hall. But to your point, the line did move a little bit towards Xavier.
All right, we got just a few seconds. Does UConn bounce back at home? Double-digit favorite over St. John's. Big man got hurt, Donovan Clingan. I have a tough time laying it with UConn in this game.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one, Julian. I mean, you look at the current number, it's 11.5. Public's still leaning Connecticut. I'd lean toward the points there and hope that obviously Patino, with the experience, can cover that number.
Yep. All right. It looks like we got somebody creeping around here in studio over by the Christmas tree. Who's back there? Mr. Mike Golick Jr. When we get back on the other side, we'll have something to say about some foosball games.
Sweat, everybody. Season's greetings, more like Gojo's greetings.
I wasn't sure where you were going to go with that one. Knowing your love of hot dogs, I thought you were going to go Season's meetings, maybe.
Oh, I do like that. You are a meaty young man, Mike Golick Jr. of Gojo and Golick in the house with us, ready to talk some sports and stuff, big man?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay.
Tis the season.
Yes,
as
it
they
is.
say.
Tis the bowl season as well, and that rolls on today. Troy and Duke, the Birmingham Bowl. You really wouldn't think Notre Dame fans would kind of be dialed into this one or have any kind of interest in it at all, but it's in the thick of Irishville right now. So the Trojans have named Notre Dame OC Gerard Parker as head coach. What will this dude bring to the table for them?
Yeah, I think for GP, you're getting a guy who's definitely like an ascending name in this industry. He spent a lot of time at West Virginia there for a while, cutting his teeth under Neil Brown. Wasn't calling plays as much there, but came to Notre Dame last year. And listen, while some Notre Dame fans might take issue with the way that offense performed in certain big games, you look at a coach that took over late in the game last season after Tommy Rees made the move to Alabama, had a new quarterback coming in Sam Hartman, and had to kind of reinvent some of the pieces and put up some historically great numbers for Notre Dame. So I think you're going to get a guy that's used to making use of what's around him there, a guy who's been around some really competent offensive play callers and is really on the way up. And just interpersonally, guy that's really easy to get along with.
High energy guy too, right?
High energy guy. I remember when I called like 3 West Virginia games in 2021, and we get to meet with the coaching staff, and I always came away kind of enthused after my conversations with Jared Parker, just because of the way he sees the game, the way he talks about it. I think he'll do a really good job with that team.
Yeah, and he joins the team too in like win now mode. I believe it's back-to-back Sun Belt Conference championships as well. So good spot for him. Kind of looks like a good fit for both sides. Now, your boy Marcus Freeman's going to be looking for his third OC in 3 years. Now also his third starting quarterback, I believe, in 3 years. So Riley Leonard, he transfers from Duke here, replacing Sam Hartman. How difficult will his absence be to overcome for the Blue Devils in this bowl game?
It's tough, but like honestly, at the end of the year, they got used to having to deal without Riley Leonard because of the injury issues that started to pop up between the ankle injury sustained in the loss against Notre Dame late in that one, the toe later on in that year. And so he is a huge part of their offense. It's one of the reasons Notre Dame fans should be so excited. I remember talking to Mike Elko, who was their head coach, who's also not there now, the head coach at Texas A&M, about Riley Leonard as the secret sauce of that offense, how having a quarterback with that kind of dynamic rushing ability as an athlete, someone who can scramble as well as he did, changes the math for a defense going against them and helped their offense really have a ton of success behind what was an incredibly veteran offensive line, a very veteran defensive line. So there's no doubt his absence looms large. They had another transfer, RJ Oben, one of their great defensive ends, also going to South Bend alongside him there. So like with most of bowl season, it's about the names usually more so that aren't there than are.
And of course, Notre Dame saying the right thing, saying, hey, we believe Leonard was the best quarterback available in the transfer portal. Any other early like winners and losers from the portal? Big signing day too earlier this week.
Yeah, we had the initial signing day, and it's interesting how we're all going to have to go about trying to lump these things together. I think if you look at a school like Colorado, it's the perfect example. There was so much fascination with how is Deion Sanders going to build this program. He signed 5 high school recruits in this early recruiting window. Their rank, I believe, according to 24/7, about 99th in the country, but they've also got the #1 transfer portal class. They're waiting on John Seaton, who was the 5-star offensive lineman that very famously committed to them on Undisputed on FS1, but didn't sign on that initial day, and now there's all these rumors of him potentially getting flipped. And so I think it's interesting to watch how different teams are going to approach the portal, approach high school recruiting from here on out here, and try and blend the two. You had a lot of the usual winners, I think, Emerson, when you look at the top of all of this, right? Georgia with the #1 class, yet again, Alabama in there, Miami with a top 5 class
that was a big
this
day
season as Mario Cristobal tries to work his way through there. But I also look at a team like Oregon, the Ducks coming off a disappointing year for them.
2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, but now you get to deal with the departure of Bo Nix with Dylan Gabriel coming over from Oklahoma and getting Dante Moore, a guy that was originally committed to the Ducks, then went to Chip Kelly and UCLA, and now is back with the Ducks. They're going to have a really healthy competition on that campus for who's going to be under center, trying to replace a guy who was a Heisman finalist.
And a program making the transition to the Big Ten as well. Let's get back to bowl season. Any other games stand out to you today or moving forward here in the next week?
Well, listen, I have a soft spot in my heart for the Hawaii Bowl.
Oh, why is that?
Oh, it's not just because we got a very racy picture of Tim Beck, the head coach of Coastal, out there on the beach showing off. And I think for him, popping the top to audition for the next top Top Gun movie beach scene.
He looks
there.
good. Looks greased up in the sun.
Great to see him keeping himself in shape, but I think you looked at, obviously, compelling fun game there for the Shots going up against San Jose State, who had a really compelling season. Some big early season matchups against some prime out-of-conference team, but let's not bury the lead. They get to go to Hawaii, Emerson. The first bowl game I ever went to as a player was the Hawaii Bowl. I was a redshirt freshman. We were playing Hawaii on the island out there, and you've got luau's going, catered meals on the beach all the time. We got full afternoons to go and take surf lessons and hang out there. It was, including the national championship game that I played in, the best bowl game I ever got to go to.
Just treated
and be a part
absolute
of.
royalty, huh?
It's a gift. It's a week-long luau, and then you play a football game at the end. And
You're just filled with pork and pig meat in your stomach from the luau's?
Just Melikaliki-locking our way through bowl season. So I hope they all have a great time in that too. And listen, the guys in Coastal, they're near Myrtle Beach, so they usually have fun. San Jose State, I'm sure, is beautiful as well. But there is just something about being out in Hawaii around Christmas time that feels right.
That's a long trip, too. That has to be the longest trip for a single team in bowl season, going from Carolina all the way to Hawaii.
Yeah, it's a long trip, but well worth it because you're out there for the entire week, and I cannot stress enough. In the midst of bowl season that is chaotic, that's full of opt-outs, coaching changes, has become harder and harder to bet than anything on earth. The one thing that bowl season's really about, nights without curfew.
Oh,
you're out there in a different city and get a chance to go and tie a few nights on, have some fun out there in a new spot. You got no one coming around for bed check there, so you get to go out, have some fun with your friends in a different location, and then you go and you sweat it out at the beginning of practice the next day.
Indeed. Good for you. So a bunch of bowl games on tap today. 2 NFL games on tap today as well. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, one of them. Bengals have stumbled here upon something that is rare in the NFL. What they have found is a high-quality backup quarterback right now that can lead them to victory while the starter is out. How great of a story has Jake Browning been?
So it's been an awesome story, and you got the great moment with the win over the Vikings, the team that had cut him prior, where he gets to walk up to the camera and say, "You never should have cut me." And listen, Jake Browning has done a good job manning the ship. He has largely subsisted on passes near the line of scrimmage. I'm sure his average depth of target numbers aren't anything outlandish, but he's also stepped up and made some big throws down the field. When it's counted, we've seen big connections to T. Higgins, and so they are one of many teams that's had to make it work this season. And the Bengals, I thought, were the least equipped to do so because of how special Joe Burrow has been for them, because of how unique his skill set is, and because of how much that offense seemed to rely between the offensive line on him getting the ball out or evading pressure, and this wide receiver group of him working and buying time after 2.5 seconds to be one of the best quarterbacks in football. Jake Browning has made me eat my words to some extent on that and given them a real shot to be a playoff team.
I mean, he's putting up historic numbers. The first quarterback in NFL history to throw for at least 1,000 yards and a 75% completion percentage in his first 4 starts. On the other side of that ball, on that game, Mason Rudolph. So he's back under center for the Steelers here. Mike, can he help them go over their team total in this one? I think around 17 and a half.
Maybe.
I don't know, man.
The Steelers, it's bad vibes around Pittsburgh right now. And Mitch Trubisky, and I remember Bill Barnwell did a great job of breaking this down when he first took over. We had not gotten to see Kenny Pickett much in the confines of this new offense. They played one game. It was the first time they went over 400 yards of total offense in 28 games or whatever it was, basically the entirety of the Matt Canada era there. And then he promptly got hurt, and they're waiting and hoping to see if he can come back. But in that time, the biggest difference between Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky was the fact that Mitch Trubisky was historically much worse at turning the football over, didn't value the ball as much. And we saw that really hamstring the Steelers, who now are dealing with complicated questions in their wide receiver room, questions about effort from guys like George Pickens and Deontay Johnson in successive weeks. And so I have a tough time trusting this Pittsburgh Steelers offense at this juncture to be able to go out there and get it done against the Bengals team that seems to have their act together a lot more.
All right, well, how much do you trust the Chargers against the Bills, who are just rolling, look like a top 3, top 4 team in the NFL right now? They're fighting for their playoff lives. But, with the Chargers, we've seen other coaches or other teams this year kind of find that spark and feel a little extra motivated when there's been a head coaching change.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy it here,
Yeah,
mostly
I don't
because
think many people are.
you don't have your starting quarterback in there, which is usually the force behind a lot of that. Easton Stick came in, and results may vary on that one. You still got to worry on the other side. The pass rushers, Khalil Mack's still absolutely a guy that can wreck a game. But I think ever since Joe Brady took over there in Buffalo, this has been a good rushing team for most of the season. But we've seen an added emphasis on that. We've seen James Cook really shine both as a runner and a pass catcher, and Josh Allen playing some of the best football of his career. So I think Buffalo is able to go and continue to work the ground game against the Chargers defense that's given that up a lot.
Yeah, they're a big favorite here. Buffalo 0-2 ATS as a double-digit favorite this season. So we'll see if they can battle that emotional hump that I'm sure the Chargers will be attempting to overcome. Go, Joe. Thank you so much for being here. Season's greetings. Go,
Happy
Joe.
holidays to you,
Thanks, Ben.
Emerson.
All right, everybody, stick with us. We're going to tackle some NBA best bets here on a with the Grizz, getting after it with Ja Morant back in the lineup. 2 games played, 2 wins. Just the second time this season Memphis has won back-to-back games. And the latest win coming against the Pacers a few nights ago wasn't quite the eye-popping performance that Morant put up against the Pelicans on Tuesday. That's where he hit his first career game-winning buzzer beater. Still displayed a complete control of the contest. 20 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. Like, Jules, it starting to remind us a little bit why this team finished with the second best record in the Western Conference just a season ago. So Grizzlies in Atlanta today. You like a bet in this one?
Yeah, I mean, Ja Morant's kind of showing us. Remember back, like, when he would get injured on some of those Memphis teams that finished high in the standings, people would say, didn't matter if Ja Morant was in. Yeah. They would keep winning with Tyus Jones, who is not there anymore. Marcus Smart is, but he hasn't been playing. That clearly is not a take that you can have anymore. Ja Morant's given this team a shot in the arm since coming back, and I'm confused by this game. I'm looking at the betting splits. The betting splits are sharp money to Atlanta here, or much larger money to Atlanta here. 20% of the bets for 59% of the handle on the Hawks as short home favorites. But you look at the Hawks, they're the worst team against the spread in the NBA. Okay. They are 1-10 against the spread at home. I lean to Memphis here. I'll ride the trend of Atlanta just not covering at home and say that Memphis has something going on here with Morant back in the lineup. So I would lean that way. I haven't played it yet. Memphis is playing completely different with Ja Morant back in the lineup.
Yeah, it's true. With him back, this team is really prepped to kind of climb up the standings there. Another game that you are eyeing today involves Kobe White, and this kid's really finally starting to soar in the NBA here, former Tar Heel, Jules.
Yeah, so the run has come to a little bit of an end on Kobe White. Initially, if I can say that word, initially, when Zach LaVine went out of the lineup, Kobe White went over his points, rebounds, and assist prop 9 games in a row. He was clearing it by like an average of 9 points per game. He's 0-2 the last couple of games. Missed one by the hook, 33.5, finished 33 last game against the Spurs. We got the Bulls on the docket today. The prop has dropped down to 31.5, back to a more reasonable number. I will go back to Kobe White, over 31.5 points, rebounds, assists, because he is still 9-2 to the over since LaVine went out, and the number got more reasonable.
All right, next best bet on your card involves a dude who's been rumored quite a bit in some early trade discussions here, Mr. Sexton of the Jazz.
We're going to have to wait on this one. His prop isn't on the board yet because Utah might be getting some guys back. So Colin Sexton's 4-2 to the over on his point prop since both Keontae George and Jordan Clarkson have been out of the lineup. Now Clarkson might come back. Some other guys might come back for Utah, so you're not going to see Jazz props on the board as we do this segment. If all those guys remain out, particularly the 2 guards, Clarkson and George, then sure, I'll fire on Colin Sexton points over. If they're back, then we're going to have to let this one be.
All right, so is there anything in terms of Celtics and Clippers that you like here? Because LA has just been a ridiculously dominant team at home this year. So they're 11-3 at Crypto.com Arena. Celtics 7-6 on the road. We know how good the Celtics are at home, but away from TD Garden. A little bit of a different team and some key injuries in this one too.
Yeah, they looked really good bouncing back from the Warriors loss. They shouldn't have let the Warriors game go. They would have won that game with Kristaps Porzingis having a paint presence against a Warriors team that has no bigs, particularly without Draymond Green. Porzingis was the key to them scoring 144 points in Sacramento without Jason Tatum. Porzingis is out for this one. I still lean Celtics. I think so. We have Jason Tatum and Kawhi Leonard both questionable. I think they both wind up playing. I think Tatum has a better shot to play than Kawhi does. So maybe we get ahead of the number a little bit here, but game's basically priced to pick. You can get -120 Celtics money line. I think the Celtics get this one. I think that they have a nice trip in LA here. That, West Coast road trips get a little dicey. I think they're in LA for 5 nights. They've been off 2 days now since the Sacramento game. Afternoon game here for Clippers, and then you get the Lakers on Christmas Day. This is a nice settle-in spot for them. First game back from a long road trip for the Clippers. Those can be tough spots as well. So I lean to the Celtics here. I'll probably play on them and hope that we get Tatum in, Kawhi out, but I think we'll wind up getting them both in.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the in-season tournament, really Christmas Day was always looked at as like the unofficial start, really, of like the NBA.
Those are
season.
for the non-true hoop heads.
Very true. That is a very true statement. So we got another handful of games that are going to be cooking on Christmas Day around the association. Some really good ones here, like top 3 Eastern Conference seeds are all slated to take the floor. So are the 2 defending finalists. NBA's best rivalry gets renewed on Christmas. You just referenced that with the Celtics and the Lakers. How are you feeling about Boston against LeBron and company?
Yeah, we got to start Celtics-Lakers here, obviously, on Christmas. Okay. It's, in the same arena. Game is essentially the same number. Celtics were 1.5. I think they moved up to 2. And I'm going to lean Boston again. And I think that, so Porzingis is not playing against the Clippers. One of the beat writers, I forget who it is, I should credit them, said that they saw Porzingis walking around the hotel carrying his own massage table for the ankle injury that he's sitting out with, and that they would be surprised if this.
So it's just like we'll plop it down wherever and be like,
he rolled an ankle, sat
massage.
a game, just like I think. He rolled an ankle. He's going to sit a game, just like I think Tatum sat one game and is going to return this afternoon. So Porzingis is going to be out there on Christmas. They should have the full lineup. It's not a back-to-back, so Horford should be out there as well. I think Celtics at full strength. You give me a price within one possession, that's where I'm going to go. So. I'll go Celtics on Christmas Day. I think we're going to see them fully healthy for that game.
On the DK Sportsbook, Celtics, the championship favorites at the moment. Lakers, the in-season tournament champions, which...
take that banner down.
Which
it's a respectable franchise right there with 16 rings. You're hanging in-season tournament banners.
Just like the Colts put up a banner when they had Josh McDaniels as their head coach for a few hours. Yeah, exactly. Okay, another game on this slate. On Christmas Day, we have the 76ers and the Heat. That'll follow the Celtics and the Lakers. So Butler really gets up here for Sixers games. And then you have Embiid, who really gets up for Butler games. So is there a bet that stands out to you right now for this one?
Yeah, I'm very curious about the price of this game. Sixers short dogs. Sixers have been really good this year. Miami has not been good, particularly at home. You look at ATS at home. Where'd Miami go here? Miami's 4-10 against the spread at home this season. I like the Sixers. You can just take a money line or plus the point, whatever you want to do. Miami just, for whatever reason, has a tougher time at home. And I know they should be at full strength for this game. Miami kind of hits cruise control for the regular season and then shows up in a big way when they want to, which is generally the playoffs. If they choose to show up for a regular season game, they can look pretty good. But I think Philly's clearly been the better team so far. I am surprised that Philly is not the short favorite rather than Miami in this game. So I will play plus the points on the Sixers on Christmas Day.
What can you say about just in the season Embiid's having right now? He's currently the favorite to win MVP. So let me see. He's produced at least 30 points and 10 boards in 13 straight games. Longest such streak since Hall of Famer Kareem Abdul-Jabbar rattled off 16 consecutive 30-10 performances.
Yeah, he's playing really well. The MVP straw polls started to come out, and Embiid had a dominant lead in those, and those always affect the betting markets. So he deserves to be the plus 175 favorite on the board there. And then you see it's the 2 big men again. It's Jokic and Embiid, and then a big drop-off before everybody else. SGA, a pretty interesting bet there at 7-1. Tatum 25-1. I don't mind if you're looking down the board, but it's probably going to be one of those centers again because of the ridiculous numbers that they're putting up and how versatile they are.
Yeah, and Jokic is going to be part of that second game of the day. Golden State at the Nuggets. So Curry and Jokic, it might be 2 most fun players to watch in the NBA, and really both teams currently ill-equipped to defend both of them as well.
Yeah, Golden State has had problems in the past with Denver, and obviously in the postseason, they've had some problems. It always comes down to health with Denver for me. When they're healthy, they're a play on. The Warriors have been pretty bad this year, but a lot of their struggles against the number have come at home. They've been better against the number on the road. This will probably be one of the games that I sit out on Christmas Day, but if I was playing it, I would lay the points with Denver there. Maybe look at a Denver first half. They generally come out pretty good at home. The Warriors can start slower on the road and then get it together second half. So Denver, lay the points, or Denver first half if you want to play on that game. I'll probably pass on it.
They've played, 8 regular season games over the past 3 seasons? I think 4 of them have been decided by a single possession.
Well, that would be a good trend to take the underdog and not take my advice on that game then.
Okay, great. What else stands out to you on Christmas Day? Anything right now?
So the Bucks-Knicks game, we have to wait because that's doubleheader or a back-to-back, whatever you want to call it. Bucks, Knicks play this afternoon, and then they play again on Christmas Day. So generally, those are ones you want to wait, see who gets that first game, and then maybe come back on the other team on the other side. So that's the one game that we can't give any advice until we see what happens this afternoon, and then we'll have a better idea of what we can do on the Christmas Day game.
Poor NBA, because you got the NFL this year that's like, you know what, we're
Big
going to throw 3 games on the schedule too
Bullies.
and kind of steal
Christmas
your
is on
thunder.
Wednesday next year. The NFL is not going to play on Wednesday. NBA will be king again.
Can confirm. Really good stuff there from you, Jules. All right, coming up, we do have 2 games on the NFL slate today, so let's break them down, talk some key injuries, and hear from some of the key players next. Welcome back to The Sweat, everybody. Second hour of The Sweat kicking off. I am live now in Pittsburgh, where the Steelers will be welcoming in the Cincinnati Bengals today. Another meeting of backup quarterbacks. Yes, there is the Mason Rudolph, the red zone reindeer, who will be taking over under center for the Steelers. But on the other side, Jake Browning, everybody. This will be his 5th start this season. He's won 3 of them. The first one that he lost was against the Steelers. Yes, this time, though, in the lovely city of Pittsburgh. Let's hear from the man who has taken center stage in Cincinnati right now.
I think having a little bit of success under your belt, helps confidence, and having a couple weeks of feeling like your preparation was where you wanted it to be, and being able to, replicate that kind of went into, I think, little things. Like I went into the Pittsburgh game the first time really wanting to operate well in the huddle. So I was really practicing making sure I was spitting out play calls clean and didn't want to have anything just unprofessional happen where you're stuck in the huddle and you can't spit out the play call. So feel a little more confident with stuff like that after a couple games, and so now you can really focus on the different looks and going through your reads and stuff like that. And I did that before, but just maybe having a little bit more of a focus on it.
Yeah, it's chilly here in Pittsburgh, which is why I have this jacket and beanie on right now. Not quite sure, Josh, if that'll impact any of the game bets you are eyeing for this one today. Please take it away.
Yeah, so Emerson, luckily not too bad of weather here.
Really?
For the terrible towel stadium here. Mid-40s, 5-mile-per-hour winds. So, Steve, don't have to worry about the weather. Not a huge issue here.
Good.
But my take on this game, I think it's kind of evolved. If you asked me early in the week, I would say Cincinnati looked like the sharp play. This game opened at around a pick'em. We now flipped all the way to Cincinnati -3. But Cincinnati's becoming a very popular bet. The Bengals right now are getting 73% of bets. And what's notable to me is when you get to a key number, do you go through it? Is there a point of resistance? Does the line start to go the other way? We're starting to see this thing come back a little bit toward the Pittsburgh Steelers. It got up to Steelers getting 3. Now these Steelers +3s are -115, -120, looking like it may get back down to 2.5. So, guys, I'm going to hold my nose. I'll take Steelers +3 in this spot. Only getting 27% of bets. Divisional dog opportunities here. 55% against the spread since 2020. And this is a Mike Tomlin spot. As a dog, always mention it, 55-31 ATS, 64%. Tomlin after a loss, 55-41 ATS, 57%. No Jamar Chase. Emerson mentioned, this was a spot here that Browning lost earlier to the Steelers. So I'll take the +3, guys. Let's go Steelers.
I'm more than happy to take the Bengals in this spot here. I think this is still a spot for them here. Like Mason Rudolph taking over at quarterback is, I don't even know if it's an upgrade or a downgrade when it comes compared to Mitch Trubisky at this point. And you just talked about that game against the Steelers earlier in the year. I know they only put up 10 points against them, but Browning was good in what was his first start. It was 19 of 26 for 227 yards, 73% completion rate, a 79% adjusted completion. So I think this is, I still have no problem taking them here. I know they're going to be without Jamar Chase, but they still have T. Higgins. They got Tyler Boyd, Tanner Hudson, Trenton Irwin should get some run in this game too as well. I think they have more firepower to take down the Steelers in this game, who has been fairly generous through the secondary as well. So I have no problem taking the Bengals in this one.
You're the tiebreaker, Julian.
I know, and I don't even have an opinion to break the tie. This game is You're not.
Yeah,
you're over there. Don't break the wall in the studio.
You're in Pittsburgh.
You're not supposed to talk. I would lean Pittsburgh at this point with the points because you are getting, you're getting a home dog in the division getting a field goal. Earlier in the week at the pick, sure, Cincinnati, but this feels to me, and again, this is why I'm not betting the game, but this feels to me like one of those weird late season spots where we don't know what we can expect from the Steelers, and they take advantage of that to maybe win a divisional game that they probably shouldn't win. But again, we're putting our faith here in Mason Rudolph, who I think the last NFL game he played was a tie against that Lions team.
16-16.
Yes, thank you. Again, you're over there. A tie against that Lions team in a very gross game where the Lions were absolutely dreadful in that first year of Jared Goff. If I can't decide, then I'm going to take the home dog in a divisional game like that.
Well, guys, back here live in Pittsburgh, yes, I can confirm My source says Jamar Chase is not going to play. Also, don't roster Kenny Pickett because he is also not going to play, which is why we're talking about Mason Rudolph starting today. So do tell who lands on your props card in this game, Stephen.
I like Jaylen Warren going over 3.5 receptions, and I like this because I like the Bengals to be winning this game. So if that is the case, and that is a positive game script for Jaylen Warren, who's going to see targets out of the backfield in that type of scenario, getting over 3.5 receptions at plus 135. He's been seeing over 4 per game over the last couple of games there with the backups playing with Mr. Trubisky. I would expect him getting the same type of treatment with Mason Rudolph too as well. But over the last 2 games, 11 total targets with those backup QBs. You have to go all the way back to 2019 if you're going to talk about what Rudolph was doing in some meaningful games. That's when he started 10 games. 21% of his targets were behind the line of scrimmage when he was under center for those 10 games for Pittsburgh. So I like him to go over 3.5 receptions today.
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way here, Steve. I'm going to kind of try to attack the Steelers secondary because they got a lot of issues in their secondary. Yep. KZ has been suspended for the year. Minkah Fitzpatrick is out. So I think you can maybe target some of these guys on the Bengals here to play well with their receptions, yardage, and just receptions in general. So I want to focus on Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd over 33.5 receiving yards. It's really juiced up minus 130. With no Jamar Chase, Boyd goes from your 3 to your 2. Probably a lot of attention here on Higgins, which means Tyler Boyd going up against one of the lesser players in the secondary here that's already depleted for the Steelers. He's gone over this number, 33.5 in 7 of his last 10 games. And I'll also give you one more, Trenton Irwin, this guy who's not getting much of attention here, but 16.5 receiving yards. It's juiced up a little bit, minus 115. Irwin could be a sneaky guy. Maybe gets you one 18-yard catch to cash that thing. But again, I'm going to target this depleted Steelers secondary.
I mean, that was the main guy when Chase was out early in the year, so for sure.
I'm gonna go with Steve here. I actually like props in this game more than the side. Obviously, not much decisiveness on the Steelers side, but I'm going with Warren on the receptions. And if you want to play him over, I think it's 19.5 on the receiving yards. You can go that way as well. But he's been in that role thriving this year. He's caught 5 or 6 targets last week, 4 or 5 the week before. Now you're going to a new quarterback, so you can kind of throw some of the numbers out the window. But in going to the new quarterback, you probably expect Rudolph to be a little confused here. When you're not seeing it downfield, check it down to a guy like Jaylen Warren. I think that's probably the best prop in this game.
Hell yeah, brother. Well, I have hopped in my hot tub time machine. I'm now out in LA where the Chargers are going to get a healthy dose of vitamin B today. And B as in Buffalo. Give Smith taking over the head coaching duties for the Chargers, and he does not sound nervous at all.
What I told them and the players, we're all invested in this 3 weeks, and we got to feel that energy from each other, and we're coming together. It was a great day today. The energy was great. The coaches are doing unbelievable, and I just happen to be the guy that's in charge of it.
I will say, Josh, Buffalo 0-2 ATS this season as a double-digit favorite, huh?
I like that angle, Emerson. I'm going to go Chargers. Yes, I'm going to go Chargers. It feels disgusting. You're throwing away your money. Not to win. No, I'm not that crazy. I'm not that insane.
There are crosswinds in SoFi.
To lose. Exactly.
I'm here live. I know.
I'll take the points. I'll take a win. I don't expect them to, but I'll take the points in this one, guys. A couple things going on. Right now, Buffalo, just massive steam all throughout the week. They opened minus 9.5. They're all the way up to 12.5. They're getting 78% of bets. It's the ultimate obvious play for the public. Bills are surging right now. Obviously, we've seen LA just get blown out, and then they've also lost 5 of their last 6. But I'm not going to call the Chargers a sharp bet, but I'm going to call them a value play, an inflated dog play. You're getting now 12.5. I would wait this thing out. 8 o'clock game, can you get a 13, 13.5, 14? Like, if you're going to bet LA, you might as just wait as long as you can to get the best number. But here's the angle, guys. Dogs off a blowout loss of 35 points or more. When you get absolutely rolled and the public says you're terrible, easy play, bet against you the next week, actually you want to buy low on those teams. Off a blowout loss of 35 or more, dogs are 58-29 against the spread, 67% since 2005. Rest advantage, they played Thursday versus Sunday, and you get maybe that new head coach bump. We saw, obviously, when the Raiders got rid of McDaniels, played much better the next game. Chargers can lose this one. Can you lose by 12 or less? I'll take the points with LA.
I'm actually shocked. I thought you were going to go with the total in this one. I was actually fully expecting to be agreeing with you on the total. I like the under in this game. This opened up at 42.5. It's gotten up to 44. The money and the bets are all on the over in this one. I think it's about over 65% on both of those categories there. But these are two teams that have just not been strong with hitting the over all season long. Both of these teams combined have hit the over only 8 times during this season. And then we were talking about at the top of the show here. What's left of this Chargers offense coming into this game? You got Austin Eckler, who has been a non-factor throughout the whole year, just never has recovered from that high ankle sprain. There's no Keenan Allen, no Mike Williams, which we haven't seen for weeks anyways. So now we got Josh Palmer, Jalen Guyton, Gerald Everett, like Quentin Johnston, like those are the guys that are going to be running out there for Easton Stick, who, by the way, actually didn't have a bad game last week. People kind of gloss over that fact, but this team is just decimated with injuries right now. I think this is going under 44.
This is a classic game where you get your hands dirty and bet the Chargers. Like Josh said, you're going to wait on it to see, nobody's going to bet the Chargers and move this number the other way. So it's, are we going to get a better price than 12? And I think we may. This is everything, in terms of betting systems that Josh speaks about, points to the Chargers. They have the longer week off. They're coming off getting absolutely mopped. They just fired the coach. Buffalo is coming off of a huge home win over a, top-tier opponent. Everything in this spot says you take the Chargers. You have to put a blindfold on and pretend that we're not going to watch Easton Stick throw to Josh Palmer and just take the points. This is like a blind faith trust fall NFL spot where you take the points and then you turn the game on and go, I can't believe I bet on these guys, but I did. And, keep it within those 12 or so points.
We're back here live in LA. Steve, don't forget the revenge narrative in this one. Giff Smith was a member of the defensive coaching staff of the Bills 10 years ago.
What a story.
Yeah, that's right. We are back right after this break, breaking down some of the big bowl games on tap. I'll head back to Boston now. dude. Let's go bowling, baby. College bowl season rolling on today as... Well, last night we saw UCF end up losing
let you down.
to Georgia Tech. They
They had a
really
lead early,
did.
just got rolled. What happened?
They really did. I don't know, man. They crapped themselves. It's all good. You don't want to crap yourself.
Not as bad as Old Dominion did.
Ooh,
But
don't mention that again.
Hang in there, big man.
I
Okay,
am
so help us make some money here, guys, with some of your best bets for college bowl season. Also, what we're going to focus really on today. So, Air Force and JMU, Jules. Why does this one have your attention?
Yeah, this one obviously a lot of movement, and movement hasn't necessarily meant wins so far in bowl season, but I do trust this one. I played Air Force yesterday at +2. And what are we at? +1.5 right now on DK. That is a play for me. Or you can go even money on the money line. James Madison, I initially, when I saw the bowl lines come out, I was like, ooh, maybe James Madison -4, 4.5. It got below 3. I was thinking about them. I was like, great season. You can't play in your conference title game. Maybe you want to stick it to everybody, come out, dominate a bowl game. No. These players aren't playing. These coaches aren't coaching. They had to hire temporary coaches, James Madison, for this game. How does that work with temporary coach? Like, what is your motivation? You want to show how well you can coach in a game with guys you don't know to try and get another job? Like, this seems like it is slapped together with tape and due to fall apart at any moment. Air Force, tough to trust because their win total was 8.5. They were 8-0. They went under their win total. They did not have a strong finish to the season. But this is a spot I think they can get right. Academies tend to do very well in these bowl games. No motivation gone there. Everybody's playing. This is a spot to make up for these losses in a row, finish the season strong. I like Air Force in this bowl.
Josh, James Madison's rapid FBS excellence, it's a terrific story for sure. And then Air Force closed the season with a winless November. So this one's easy, right?
Easy. Nothing is easy.
Nothing is easy after Old Dominion.
Nothing's easy in betting, just in general. Again, because if we did the obvious, you think you'd be a millionaire. No, the obvious doesn't always come through. So I'm with Julian on this one here for a couple of reasons. One, you just got to talk about the percentages and the late move. Percentages are heavy on James Madison, 11-1, D2 to D1. They're kind of a sentimental pick, trendy pick here. But this was as high as -3.5. It's all the way down to -1. The line is moving in favor of this Air Force opportunity here. So it tells me late money is breaking Air Force. Also, Air Force in this spot, I think Julian mentioned it. I don't know how often, a team like James Madison goes up against the triple option. Again, do they defend against it? Have they practiced against it? I think it could be a rude awakening if you don't really know how to defend it. It seems obvious, just stop the run, but it's a little bit harder than you think. And then again, all these coaches being out. And here's the other one with you, Julian. I'm with you. It's been disappointing for me personally, bowl season, because it feels like, you take the team with the line move and bet against the opt-outs. That hasn't been the case. But one thing that has done very well, bowl dogs. Dogs are 7-3 ATS in bowl games so far. That would match with JMU and the late line move, or Air Force, I should say. So I'll take Air Force in the points.
Josh, you have your eyes on the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, and it's not just because you love potatoes.
Love potatoes, yeah, definitely.
You are a big potato guy.
Yeah, potato skin.
Some would say you're built like a sack of potatoes, Jules.
Yeah, one of our viewers did say that. Actually, the personality of a sack of potatoes was the comment.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So I'll say
A little dry, I guess.
this one's kind of tough to cap because it's kind of been all over the place. So if you look at the way it opened, Utah State at one point, they were getting a few points here. They were getting +2.5. It flipped toward Utah State, then -2.5. But then again, we're coming back the other way, back toward Georgia State, as this line is now back down to 1.5. So I'm actually leaning a little bit toward this dog with Georgia State in the points here, with the late movement in their favor. They're only getting 20% of bets. Public is all over Utah State, so this contrarian late move is going back toward Georgia State. Also, Emerson, maybe you get an underplay here. Open at 63. It's down to 59. Great bet split to the under. 53% bets, 80% of the money to the under. You do have a lot of opt-outs on both sides of the ball, both teams, but you do have a little bit of wind. You know where this is being played, Emerson? The blue turf, Albertson Stadium, Boise State, Smurf turf, 10 miles per hour, winds, 35 degrees. It could be kind of a cold, windy game. I'd lean under, and again, the late breaking movement is going back toward Georgia State.
All right, well, Jules, if you like low-scoring battles, maybe Christmas Eve is your kind of day. So along with JMU taking on Air Force, the Las Vegas Bowl here pits a run-heavy Utah team opposite of a shaky Northwestern offense. So what are you going to do here?
Yeah, this has to be Northwestern for Josh, I am guessing.
Oh, yeah.
And I am going the other way. I'm not trusting all this
were a
money
big
on
Utah guy
Northwestern.
before the season.
Line's coming down. Nobody's trusting Utah. What does Utah do? They play well in these games. They've played well in Vegas. They have familiarity playing there. They've played well in bowl games. They put weight on them. I believe Barnes, as of now, is going to be quarterbacking for Utah, which I love. I think, they're going to be without some guys. They're Utah. They, probably wanted to be playing in a bigger game than facing Northwestern here. But Kyle Whittingham's a fantastic coach. He's going to have the guys that are out there ready to go. I just believe in this Utah team. I believe they don't take games off. I think the motivation will be there. And if they're motivated, even with a couple of guys out against Northwestern that is just dreadful at times, I think that they can run away with this game.
All right, Josh, why are you on the other end of this?
Yeah, just a data-driven play. I'm going to go Northwestern here, plus 6.5. I really like this line move toward Northwestern. This game actually opened Northwestern getting as high as 9.5. The line is all the way down to 6.5. So you could say to yourself, hey, I'm missing a lot of value. Maybe I should lay off. If you make me pick a side, I'll stick with Northwestern here because that's the side that's been taking in the big share of the money. And also, public's on Utah. Utah's getting nearly 70% of bets. Yet, only 30% bets Northwestern, but 55% of the money. So a pretty good low bets, higher dollar bet split. And then also, opt-outs with Utah here. And I'm also going to think about kind of the motivational factor. I know Utah, does tend to play well in these spots, but you had your sights on a much better bowl game than this. Now you're playing a Northwestern team that was scandal-ridden. I think you can kind of play that angle of Northwestern rallying cry. They were against us all year, depending on how you look at that situation. But I think that's a rallying opportunity for Northwestern. And again, those bowl game dogs, 7-3 ATS. I'll take Northwestern 6.5.
I want to say one thing about the betting splits. This applies in general, but more so during bowl season because of the ridiculous line moves we see. You have to be careful with the splits because a lot of sharp money on Northwestern, yes. How much of that was at not plus 9.5, 8.5, 7.5 on the other side of a key number, and how much of it has come back on Utah under the key number of 7? So with these bowls that move like 3 or more points, which is a lot of them, you do have to be careful with what price that those wagers are coming in on. So under 7 now, we have to see how much money leading up to kickoff is going to come back on Utah at this price as a shorter favorite on the other side of a very key number.
All right, let's look ahead a little bit here, guys. Like a week down the road, Ohio State, Missouri. Which one of you guys has a play on this one?
So this is another one that goes right into the splits talk that I was just discussing. This opened Missouri plus 6.5. So you're looking at the splits. Yeah, a lot of sharp money there. Now it went to as high as Missouri laying 2.5. Now it's right down to about a pick. There was some buyback on Ohio State, who's going to have more guys than we suspected playing in this game. They're still going to be without the quarterback. They're missing a running back, a receiver. We'll see what Devin Brown can do at quarterback. But Ohio State, I guess, is going to have more motivation in this game than we initially thought, which makes me a little bit nervous about my Missouri play. I'm in on Missouri at plus 3 and plus 2.5. I still think Missouri is the side. They have everybody in for this game. Brady Cook had a great season. Luther Burden, his go-to guy, had a great season. Schrader, the running back, was 8th, I think. He was top 10 in Heisman voting. And this defense can play very well. They had a great season in the SEC. They were, they went toe-to-toe with Georgia before coming undone a little late. They can handle a team like Ohio State when they're not at their best with a few key guys out. So I still think Missouri at the bad number at around a pick 'em. I think Missouri's going to win this game outright.
All right, Josh, talking Cotton Bowl here, and the Buckeyes 4-0 straight up in New Year's Day, 6 bowls outside of the college football playoff.
Yeah, and really not the bowl they want to be playing in. Obviously, they want to make the college football playoff here. And Julian made a really good point because this thing has been so back and forth based upon the information of whether or not these guys will play. So a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Is he going to come back to school? Is he going to enter the NFL draft? I would say don't play in this game and go in the NFL draft. But there's so many players. We know the quarterback, McCord, will not be playing here for Ohio State. But there's a ton of guys who we thought weren't going to play, and now maybe they will play. So my piece of advice here is that you do have a few more days. You have pretty much 6 days until this game is played. I'm not going to touch this right now. I need clarity on whether or not these players will play because I'm with Julian. I really liked Missouri, early, weeks ago, basically. I mean, Missouri at one point got all the way to -3. They opened as a dog. Now it's coming back the other way toward Ohio State. This is a wait and see for me, guys. I would mention the under did fall, or the total fell quite a bit, 52 down to 49. But until we know for sure who's playing, I think you're going to get this popsicle headache of back and forth line movement. Make it easy on yourself. Wait this thing out. maybe lean late movement.
All right, real quick here, Duke's Mayo Bowl, like the highlight of this one up to like this point has always been Mike Golick Jr. dipping an Oreo in mayonnaise. So we have West Virginia and North Carolina here. So quickly, who's got the play in this one?
I like West Virginia, even with the move. UNC, no Drake May, a lot of other opt-outs around him, and UNC's 2-4 down the stretch. They beat Duke with a third-string quarterback by 2, and Campbell. UNC's been awful. West Virginia 8-4. They've been playing really well. I like the Mountaineers in this one, even at a steeper price.
I lean West Virginia as well here, Emerson. There's been no buyback whatsoever on UNC. This game opened as low as WVU -3. Now you're up to 6.5. Never any buyback the other way. Great bet split toward Mountaineers here. They're only getting, at this point, 50% bets, 80% money. No Drake May. I'll lean Mountaineers.
All right, we're going to find out after this break which way Jeff Ulrich is leaning in terms of NHL bets tonight. Stick around. Baby, it's cold outside and in this studio as well because we're putting the sweat on ice right now. I have some hard-hitting exclusive NHL questions. DraftKings Network contributor Jeff Ulrich will provide answers. Looking good in green, Jeff. Wow, that's your color.
Thanks, pal. Once a year, got to dress up for Christmas and Christmas shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Very festive today.
Yeah, you
Festive
are.
mood.
Yeah, I can feel the Christmas energy for sure, just pouring out of you. A ginormous 14-game slate today ahead of the NHL's annual 3-game Christmas break here, dude. Highlighted by a rematch of last year's Stanley Cup final between the defending champion Golden Knights and Florida. How do you see their first battle of the season playing out, dude?
Yeah, I mean, these two teams have been up and down lately. Few bad losses for each team in their last 3 or 4 games. So you coming in, both teams have a little bit of question marks here. Florida was pretty bad towards the end of their last road trip, and now they're coming home, which is always a little bit tough. That first game home back as well. I think they also have, I would definitely give the edge in goal to the Golden Knights, although the Knights have been not great in that area of late too. I think all things considered here, if you're looking at this game, you've just got to like the plus money that we're getting on the Vegas Golden Knights at plus 102. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if the Panthers win this game, but Vegas is 9-5 on the road. I think if you're leaning towards this game, it's far from my favorite bet of the day, but I definitely lean Vegas here. Veteran team, Florida just hasn't looked good in their last few games. I like Florida; they're talented, but kind of a tough spot with Vegas coming in, also needing a win.
Yeah, let's not forget their last meeting, a 9-3 Golden Knights victory. That was Game 5. But then there's Dallas's Matt Duchene here, Jeff. He plays in Nashville for the first time since the Preds bought out his contract. Dude just potted the OT winner as well against the Canucks on Thursday night. He's really having a hell of a season here. We know he's going to be motivated again today. You think he and the Stars can get it done in Smashville?
It's a good matchup. Nashville's really been playing well here, and that's reflected in the odds. Dallas is only minus 130 on the money line. Dallas still the superior team just in terms of record, but this game is a lot closer probably than people realize. Nashville's a good team. They're right up there in terms of chances they create in 5-on-5, just behind Dallas in that regard. But Dallas does have the better special teams, and I do like the Stars here. Just a little bit. Again, like Dallas has really been rolling. You mentioned they beat the Canucks in OT, but they really dominated that game against the Canucks. They easily could have won that like 6-3 or something. They just kind of got goalied for a lot of that game. They could get goalied here too. UC Saros certainly an edge in net for the Predators, but I like Dallas here. I also kind of like the over in this game. It's only at 6 right now. I know Saros is good, but Dallas without their top goalie, Jake Ottinger, they've been going over in almost all their games over the last month. I like the Stars here, and I kind of like the over.
Man, the Red Wings really been selling hope. At least that's what they were doing. They went out and acquired Patrick Kane here. Has it really provided the boost expected, though, Jeff? They have just 2 wins in their last 9 games, did pick up a shootout victory in Philly last night. How much trouble could they be in against New Jersey tonight? Obviously, the second night of a back-to-back here.
I think they're in a lot of trouble. Whenever you need 7 goals to win a game, it's usually not good. And yeah, Patrick Kane, I mean, whatever. I mean, getting a guy at the end of his career to come in and help for like a playoff run, sure. But like the Red Wings aren't in a playoff run. The Red Wings had a really hot start and now they're regressing. And it is kind of a tough start because you are selling hope. I think the Devils are in a very big sort of, bounce back spot here as well. They got smoked by the Oilers in their last game, but this is a healthy Devils team. They haven't quite gelled together to put together like those long winning stretches that we saw last year, but I do think it's coming. And I think that at the very least, they're probably going to get a big win here tonight. Detroit's allowing way too many goals. Before that shootout win, they lost a handful of games in a row, 5 in a row or something. And they're just allowing a lot of goals. And for all of New Jersey's faults this year, they haven't won as many games. They're still creating a lot of chances. They're still a very solid team 5-on-5. It's going to be way too much for the Red Wings to handle. Definitely like the Devils here. You can play this a couple different ways. On the regulation line, they're sitting around minus 115. But even on the puck line, at plus 140 to cover the minus 1.5, I like it. Like the Devils here quite a bit tonight.
And Jeff, we know how disappointing Washington has been this season. And Ovechkin went a career worst 14 straight games without a goal before lighting the lamp Thursday against the Blue Jackets here. So Gretzky's goal scoring record may be untouchable. Like after all, he's going to really have to pick it up here if he's going to catch him. Who do you like for a goal scorer prop though on today's slate?
Yeah, the goal scoring record's going to stay in Canada. Hands off, Alex Ovechkin.
Whoa, relax, pal.
Not that I'm keeping track or anything.
Yeah, you are.
But yeah, we got a massive slate here. So goal props. There's always some value lurking around, especially on a night this big. And if we go down the list, I'll just name off a couple people I like. Dawson Mercer, a plus 285. Again, if we like the Devils to score like a handful of goals here, which everyone has been doing against the Red Wings, let's look down their lineup. Dawson Mercer, certainly goal-scoring winger, can get it done. Believe he scored in his last outing as well. But I really like those odds just going up against Detroit. I think Alex Svechnikov is pretty fair at plus 225 going up against the Islanders. Islanders on the road here. They've been allowing a lot of shots. Connor Bedard, I think, is actually a really nice goal-scoring prop tonight. Plus 145. Blues are terrible. Blues are just horrendous. Allowing a bunch of goals. I think even the Blackhawks may get over on them. Plus 145 seems fair. And then to cap things off, Kevin Fiala plus 220. He's at home. He's against the Flames. Fiala's a really good home goal scorer. Plus 220 in this spot. I think that's more than fair for Fiala.
How crazy was that picture of Connor Bedard earlier this week standing next to Wemby? Did you see that? Like Wemby made Connor Bedard look like he was a second grader. It's like you standing next to Samir.
Right, exactly. It's like me standing next to you probably as well. So,
thanks.
I would
thanks
be
so
the
much.
second. I would be the second grader in that
Yes.
picture, to be honest. But I mean, look, Wemby. I mean, you can't. Wemby's going to make everyone look like that, except unless you're like,
Very true.
Yeah. So
unless you're Shaq. He's a tall human being. Anywho, before we poke over to DFS, any other game bets or props that you were eyeing for tonight's slate?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that New Jersey Detroit game. I also like the over in that game. I honestly it feels like New Jersey may get to the over themselves. I also like the Kings in the late game there to win in regulation. I think minus 115 for the Kings to win in regulation. Completely fine. The Flames have been better late, and they're a pretty solid team right now. But I mean, geez, the Kings are one of the best in the league. I think that's more than fair. Minus 115 to take them for a regulation win. You can even take them on the money line at a little shorter odds.
Jeff, let's hook the people up with some money-making advice here. Help them build a money-making lineup. Which forward's in a good spot tonight in fantasy?
I mean, sheesh. Alston Matthews, I know he's 10,000, but my God, six straight games with at least one goal. He's got multiple goals 3 times in that span. And he's playing the Blue Jackets. Yeah, not a bad idea to pay up for him. Certainly of the top-priced forwards, it's hard to make an argument for anyone other than him. I do like Jack Hughes tonight, but I mean, he's been cold. It's just Matthews in such a good spot. If you're going to go down, you want more balance. Elias Pettersson, I really like against the Sharks. He's only 7,100. He's been pretty good of late too. Didn't score or anything in his last game, but certainly against the Sharks, that could change quickly. So, 2 centers right off the bat, guys, I would be looking to build around. Don't mind the spot for Sidney Crosby at 8,000 as well. But Pettersson and Matthews, my 2 favorite forwards.
Yeah, Austin Matthews on fire. The Maple Leafs still hoping to avoid a 3rd straight loss. So let's say you're going to spend $1 bajillion there up front. What about a dude on the blue line crew?
Yeah, I mean, we can always find a little bit of value on the blue line on a slate like this. And I think, again, like you mentioned, there's so many top end forwards we're going to want exposure to, especially with the line stacking and stuff like that. Let's look for a little bit cheaper priced options here on the back end. I mentioned I like Pittsburgh. I do kind of like them just to win that game as well. I think Chris Letang at 4,700. I know he's had a little bit of he just doesn't produce at the rate that he used to. Obviously, just not getting the top power play minutes, but it's still players playing over 20 minutes per game. He's only 4,700. He's in a really good spot. Would not shock me if he picked up a point tonight, really pay off that salary. And then Drew Doughty is the guy I really like at 5,200. Again, I mean, the Kings have been a really solid team. They're favorites tonight. Doughty's gone a few games now without a point, but he's still averaging about 0.5 points per game, just over that. Gets a ton of shots on net. Good in the block shot department. Can always get you the double bonus if everything goes right. So yeah, Drew Doughty at 5,200. Another player I really like on the blue line. Should save you some cash.
And Jeff, you just mentioned some line stacking. So which game would you target to hopefully have a successful stacking strategy?
Yeah, and look, there's a couple I'm going to lay out here right off the bat. Obviously, we want to get exposure to a guy like Matthews, potentially like Jack Hughes. But if you look at that, Pittsburgh line, from the Ottawa game. Pittsburgh's been playing better late. They're healthier. Sidney Crosby and Jake Guentzel are a really good pairing, in my opinion, to start off with. They're not overly expensive. Guentzel's been on a tear late, only 7,700. Really good spot against Ottawa. Again, you really want to target these weaker teams in the matchups. And Pittsburgh's been producing more. Ricard Raquel is another cheap winger you could pair with them. He's playing on the top line right now. So I like that Penguin stack. Then another stack, I think the Vancouver power play. Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes. You can throw JT Miller in there as well. But let's get exposure to that top power play unit going up against the Sharks. I think that's another good sort of higher value line you can target tonight. So Vancouver, Pittsburgh, two teams I definitely have my eye on for Saturday.
All right, Jeff, it was great to get some exposure to you on this Saturday edition of The Sweat. Merry holidays, my friend. 'Tis the season of giving, though, right, everybody? So what Josh, Julian, and Steve would gift a few NFL teams to help them stop wrecking our betting cards. Couldn't tell everybody it is the season of giving and holiday joy, even with you,
so
Mr.
happy.
Grinch. I'm so happy, he says. All right, so this segment here, as we wrap up the show, what are we giving to teams, players, and coaches out there to help them cash those tickets? So right now, what is something you'd like to give a team so they stop letting you down when you bet on them? Here's an example producer Drew put in there. I'm giving the Steelers an offense so they can hit the over. Steelers 4-10 to the over. Easy money for them each week, right, to take the under, but only you, Josh, like under. So right now, what are you going to give a team?
So Steelers definitely need a quarterback. I think that's the biggest gift that they could receive here. Going to give a shot to Mason Rudolph, obviously, today. But I'm going to focus on the Kansas City Chiefs, Emerson, because the Kansas City Chiefs, you know what they need? They need some wide receivers. We all know Kadarius Toney, the issues with dropping the ball. I think they lead the league in drops just in general. And Patrick Mahomes, I think you can sense his frustration here. We saw this with Tom Brady, in between their big Super Bowl runs in the middle where, he felt like he had to score 40 points a game, a lot of pressure. I think Mahomes is feeling that pressure. So I'm going to give them a wide receiver. I'm going to go back in time, and I'm going to have them sign DeAndre Hopkins. Because DeAndre Hopkins, to me, would have been a perfect fit there. Spend some money. Obviously, you want to make the most of Patrick Mahomes in his great times here that he's playing great. So make the most of it. Get them a receiver. They're plus 700 to win the Super Bowl, Emerson. But I would say right now they're 9-5. The 11.5 win total adjusted is over at even money plus 100. I'm going to take that. They're a 10-point favorite against the Raiders. They're going to play the Bengals. They're going to play the Chargers. I think they could run the table here, win all three, cash that over 11.5. But again, I'll get in my time machine. I'll give them a wide receiver that they should have signed. Don't be cheap. Get Mahomes some help.
Steven, what would you like to give a team? Which team?
I wish I could give the Packers that win against the Giants. Because that loss.
Is that
really,
I mean, if we're giving
right now?
teams wins, that's a great way to win bets.
I know,
win
but
games.
I mean, that team losing to the Giants basically just kiboshed any chance of them making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, even if they win today against Carolina, they only have a 25% chance of making the playoffs after that point. So there's a very slim chance, but they're coming into this game like completely banged up. Christian Watson looking doubtful. Jaden Reed did not practice on Friday. Wicks is also questionable for this game. Like, Luke Musgrave has been out. He's in the window to return, but no chance that he's coming. He may not come back, so there's that too as well. Like, this offense is just taking so many bumps and bruises across the way, and it's unfortunate because Jordan Love has been so good in the second half of games. So, like, this could be an easy layup win for them to make their push to the playoff, but even if they win today, like I mentioned, only a 25% chance that they make the playoffs. That really killed their chances against a team that they really should have beat.
Second half of games and really the second half of the season, Jordan Love
he's been phenomenal.
Has really stepped up. Jules, which team are you going to target and what will you be gifting them?
All right, I'm going to do a betting one and a non-betting one. The betting one is that I'm going to give the San Francisco 49ers health for the remainder of the season. We talked earlier in the show about the Niners and how dominant they have been when Trent Williams and Debo play. Those 10 wins, 9 of them by double digits. The games they didn't play, they went on that weird 3-game losing streak early in the season. This team came undone without a quarterback in the NFC Championship, and that has clearly driven them to some very big victories this season. If they maintain health to their key guys down the stretch, this team is going to roll through the NFC playoffs and be a pretty sizable favorite in the Super Bowl, at least by Super Bowl standards when we're talking against the spread. So I'm on the Niners to win the NFC. I'm on the Niners to win the Super Bowl. It's fine at the short number. If we gift them health, I am extremely confident that those tickets are cashing. If they're not healthy, that's how they lose. And a gift for the fans, I wasn't thinking about this earlier. The Rams could play at Detroit in the playoffs. Give me Stafford coming back to Detroit, who never wins anything, with his Super Bowl ring on, just for that opening weekend of playoffs when teams like the Niners aren't going to be playing if they get that bye.
Okay.
Games tend to not be as interesting. That would be as interesting of a playoff narrative as we've had in a long time.
What's the spread on that game, Julian? -3.
The spread on that game
Detroit?
is Lions about a field goal, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, guys, I would most definitely agree with that. What's something you would give a specific player so they can help you make some money, Bukes?
Honestly, Austin Eckler's rushing prop is getting so ridiculously low.
I'm out on that guy.
Well, I mean,
I am
everybody is
so
at this
out on
point.
him.
And I was even talking about it earlier, he's just looked horrendous.
Yeah.
since he's come back from that high ankle sprain. But you look at his rushing prop for today, it's at 38.5. Like, that's a number that we would see him clear through a quarter and a half when he was healthy.
Yeah.
Like, that first game against Miami, he had 117 rushing yards in that game. We haven't really seen him do anything of note since he's come back. I think he either came back too early or just hasn't been healthy. But 38.5 is just such a ridiculously low number that, like, I almost want to play it just out of principle, even though the Buffalo Bills have been a pretty decent team against the run. I feel like I'm going to end up passing on this once it all said and done here. But, man, if we could just get, like, one decent game out of Eckler at some point here. Obviously, game script doesn't bode well for this as double-digit underdogs in this one, but if you were to tell me that there was going to be a point in time where Austin Eckler's over-under for rushing yards in an entire game was 38.5, that's absolute madness.
What are you going to be gifting a player? Looks like it's Christian McCaffrey since you're looking at pictures of him right now.
Are we still in my game notes here? Yeah, just checking out McCaffrey.
Yeah, you are.
Does he look good in the pictures?
Wow,
It's pretty good, yeah.
One of them
Nice.
doesn't have a shirt on.
Yeah, his girlfriend doesn't look bad either. McCaffrey, I'll go here.
Josh.
Minus 255 anytime touchdown. These lines are getting out of control, McCaffrey. What I'm going to gift McCaffrey is a better price here on his anytime touchdown prop. Can we get McCaffrey back to minus 120? I'll pay him minus 150. It's gotten so ridiculous that, again, my gift to McCaffrey is let's take this down a bit. He's had 20 touchdowns overall. Got one more for you.
Log on to DraftKings Sportsbook and use some of your profit boosts on Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown score.
There you
Big
go.
profit
Pro
boost
tip
guy.
right there.
Big profit boost guy.
I'm also going to give Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft. Give him a wide receiver. The desert looks terrible in Arizona. Give him a guy you can throw the ball to. And personally, I'm bigly on the under 4.5 win total. So no more wins the rest of the year. I'll give you one. Let's stay under 4.5 with Arizona.
Okay, so in terms of like gifting a fan base something, you're not going to be gifting
don't get to gift a
Arizona
player anything.
any more wins for the fans.
You know what I'm gifting? I'm gifting myself and all of New England a new head coach, a new quarterback, and a new ownership regime. It's going to not be Bob Kraft. It's going to be
Ownership?
Jonathan Kraft. Yes.
Wow. Okay, there's
Ownership
that.
does
Now
not
that's
happen.
spicy.
Does that count?
Well, that is
Jonathan
spicy.
Kind of. Like Tommy Boy, you know, kind of goes to the sun here, basically, but don't
Yeah.
screw it up. But I'm just disgusted by the way the Patriots have handled the post-Tom Brady era. You know, you have no plan when Tom Brady leaves. You let him leave for no compensation. You're doing the same thing now with Belichick. Will he stay? Will he go? Meanwhile, you're 31st in spending. You don't spend any money. You cannot win if you don't spend money on good players. So I want Jonathan Kraft to take over. I want him to spend money in the offseason. I would like to draft a quarterback. I'll take May or Caleb Williams. And I want this team to get back into contention. Again, no one cares because I'm a Patriots fan because we've got all these championships. But what a terrible year it's been for the Pats.
All right, Bukes, what about you?
I just hope Buffalo Bill fans are excited that they're going to the playoffs. After
That one's really hurting you, man. You're
Honestly,
taking the high road on this.
It was a damn good bet like a few weeks ago. It looked like one at least.
I really, really felt strong about that. Like, I really did. And I feel like I have let a lot of people down from that. But I really feel like at the time, I thought it was a sharp play. I really did at the time with that upcoming schedule coming up because I didn't think they were going to beat the Cowboys. I didn't think they were going to beat the Chiefs. I mean, they lose even one of those games, they're toast, right? But they won those two games, and now they got a cupcake schedule to end the year.
I would gift the Jaguars fan base a new offensive coordinator, and also I would do that for Trevor Lawrence. No sweat bets. Go ahead.
No sweat bets. We are going to college hoops. We talked about that Arizona FAU game earlier in the show. Josh and I said we expect points. Josh leans FAU in the game. I lean Arizona in the game. I looked into the numbers a little bit since then. Arizona's averaging 100 points per game at home this season. FAU plays with pace. They played Illinois earlier in the season, the only real comp to this game. Gave up in the high 90s. So in Arizona here, rather than laying the points, I'm just looking at Arizona team total over 85.5. This game's going to be played up and down, and Arizona is going to put the ball in the basket a lot of times, going over 85.5 on their team total.
And that is how you score points in basketball, Josh. Or no sweat
Put the
bet.
ball in the hoop, I heard.
Yeah.
Is that true? That's correct.
That's going to do it.
Very
That's
true.
how they
Go
do it.
ahead.
I'm going to go with the home team here with the Steelers. I like the Steelers +3. Steelers +3 is falling down to 2.5. If you like it, grab it now. It's super juiced up. Everybody and their mother. Bengals, 80% of bets here. But again, this is a spot here with Mike Tomlin, ATS, 64% as a dog, 57% ATS off a loss. No chase. I like Rudolph +3.
Bring us home, big man.
Taking that under in that Bills-Chargers game, under 44. I think this has just gotten too high for two teams that have not hit the over well at all this season. That Chargers offense remains a mess, continues to be a mess in this game, given the under.
Eckler's going off today. I can feel it.
Fine.
All right, everybody. That is a show. We're back here tomorrow morning for a Christmas Eve edition of The Sweat. 8 o'clock Eastern Time. We will see you then. Thanks for hanging out with us.